when I come back, we're going swimming. So, tell everybody thank you, Kirill. Скажи, дякую.
Дякую.
Не, английский.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, что? Very much. Еще раз.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Future president of Ukraine right here. All right. Greetings, everyone, and welcome. We have a joint operation going on tonight with Professor Gertis. Welcome to all of you there on his channel and on my channel. What's up, Prof?
Somehow I have a wrong thumbnail on what I'm doing here, so I don't know how that worked. But I had this great thumbnail of Trump and Putin in Alaska, and what you pushed on mine has Trump and the Ayatollah from when we did that.
Well, I mean, you know,
ago.
that's the level of your professorship with that creative.
I got to work out my
ingenuity.
technological problems. Anyway, glad to be here. It's about Trump in Alaska. So
Yeah,
we'll
it's
talk
about
that.
Trump in Alaska. We can also talk about the front a little bit. So it's 10:35 here in Ukraine, and we can go about an hour. What's up, old man Tup? He's been with me since the beginning. Holy moly. It's a long time ago, brother. Thank you. And yes, F. Oink, you've got that right. He is the nutty professor. So that's a compliment.
Nutty.
Oh, yeah, that's a compliment. Come on,
Is
Jerry
it?
Lewis. Anyway, we've got a lot to talk about. Thank you guys already for those that have made some super chats. Let me grab those quick before we get going. F. Oink, our Hungarian brother there. You close to me now, buddy, of gifting 50 memberships. Dunk on you. Greetings, all Hope Train riders. Let's have a great live and chat. Slava Ukraini, $20 super chat. £2 from Mark Nicholson. Thank you, Mark. And we appreciate that. I also see Nick in Time Independent News is in the chat, and always appreciate him. So I'm watching the chat, but we're really just going to focus on getting down to brass tacks. I've got some incredible videos to show, Prof. Incredible. So let's start.
That's what you told me, so I'm looking forward to it.
Well, let's start talking about the Alaska Summit. What are your thoughts on that? Coming up this Friday, the 15th, 5 days away. I'm here in Ukraine, and today overall has been a slow, what you would call news day. Now, for headlines, on the front lines, it is tough. The battles are tough. Today in Zaporizhzhia, we had glide bombs take out a bus stop station, and we had glide bombs take out a university clinic. This is happening all along the front. Kherson is under extreme duress, as always. And then we can talk about the front. I'll be happy to give you guys some updates on places like Pokrovsk and Konstantinivka. Some places we're not talking about, like Siversk. I need to show you that on the map because it's becoming critical, and we can talk about that later. So let's, before we do that, Petra Olsen, 269 Swedish kroners with love to Ukraine. That is the non-smoking initiative there, guys. She gave up her smoking habit, took the money for her cigarettes, and donates it to Ukraine. Thank you, Petra, for that. So what are your thoughts on the summit, Prof? Let's start there, and then we'll move on.
So I gotten out of the prediction game after getting the big imminent attack wrong about 3 weeks ago. And then the tariff thing hasn't materialized yet, even though the Secretary of the Treasury, the day before the tariffs were supposed to take place, were saying, well, yeah, we're going to put these tariffs on India. So I'm like, well, he's saying it, so this seems to be where we're going. So Witkoff meeting Putin seemed to throw a monkey wrench in the works of what was happening. And kind of changed the course of things. Did you read the articles about how this was billed in some other places? Witkoff may have communicated things wrong, like mistranslation.
Let's start there. That's a great place to start. That's not hearsay. That is an absolute fact. He, according to the analyst in the news, not even news channels, the analyst I follow here, straight in Ukrainian, he completely reversed it. And a couple of days.
But this is important.
Are you kidding me?
This is really important. because this actually shapes the thing in a really good or really bad way.
Okay, first of all, I'm just going to say this and be done with it because I don't want to pick on him. And Donald Trump is going to figure this out on Friday. And I don't care what anybody says. This is a child going against a man. And the man isn't Trump. The man is Putin. He's been ingrained, trained, prepped. He is a master. KGB, these guys are ingrained their entire life for a moment just as going to happen on Friday. Witkoff is a golfer and a real estate agent, a successful businessman, and a buddy of Trump. You do not send him to discuss the future of the nation of Ukraine on the edge of World War III. Sorry, it's child's play. It's child's play.
I'm not going to argue with you about Witkoff at all. I mean, like, let's think about that. Like, what was it? McFall was like, isn't there anybody else other than Witkoff that we could be doing these big negotiations with? Is he the only person that, and the context there was with the Azerbaijan-Armenia thing. So he's got his hand in that, and he's got his hand in Palestine and Israel and Israel and Iran, and he's got his hand in Ukraine and Russia. Like, wouldn't you want to like have one person dedicated here, another there, another there, another there?
I thought we had a Secretary of State that's quite capable. I mean,
there's that too.
Let's don't even go there. We can talk about that. That's a different conversation. The reality is he's not qualified for what Donald Trump sent him to do with Vladimir Putin. Now, one who was experientially qualified was Keith Kellogg, and he speaks Russian fluently. And in the first,
so he wouldn't have bungled this.
Never would have bungled it.
Been able to translate.
Never would have bungled it. And of course,
Keith Kellogg.
Absolutely.
So the translation. Let's talk about that. So he comes back, and as I understood it, it sounded like Putin was saying, if you get out of and recognize Donetsk and Luhansk, then we will have an orderly withdrawal of Zaporizhzhia and Kherson. And it sounded like, okay, like I get it, but that's not a great deal, but okay, I get it. But that's not what it was. As I understand what it actually was then you will have an orderly withdrawal.
That's correct.
Zaporizhzhia and Luhansk. So we're keeping all four oblasts. And so that's just, to my mind, it's either better or worse. And what I mean by that is it's worse because they're asking for everything. And like you get not, well, I mean, they get a little bit. They get the Russians out of the area around Sumy, which is it's pretty negligible, or around Kherson. Not Kherson, Kharkiv.
And we'll look at it on the map.
So, and it's not a whole lot there. Okay, so, but the upside is if Trump feels blindsided and it overplays his hand because he got the thing from Witkoff again, he's going to be like, come on, man, this is what are we doing here? So I don't know which way it'll play out. I am not going to try to predict Trump. I just think without Zelenskyy there, it's a very bad thing to be happening. Like, you're making decisions about Ukraine without Ukraine is a bad idea.
Well, let's talk about that for a moment, and we'll go into other things. The bottom line is this. We are seeing, in my opinion, and I'm here in Ukraine, a complete transition from U.S. being actively involved in this war at the level that it has been over the last 3 years, and especially under the Biden administration. And we will now see a transition where Europe must step up and fill a void. And I believe that's what we're going to witness happen. And I think I have some video that will lend credence to that. Let me throw this JD Vance clip at you first, everybody.
What we said to the Europeans is simply, first of all, this is in your neck of the woods. This is in your back door. you guys have got to step up and take a bigger role in this thing. And if you care so much about this conflict, you should be willing to play a more direct and a more substantial way in funding this war yourself. I think the president, and I certainly think that America, we're done with the funding of the Ukraine war business. We want to bring about a peaceful settlement to this thing. We want to stop the killing. But Americans, I think, are sick of continuing to send their money, their tax dollars to this particular conflict. But if the Europeans want to step up and actually buy the weapons from American producers, we're okay with that.
Okay, so for me, that is the Vice President of the United States. And before I get your comment, Broff, if I do not post this comment, I have to leave Ukraine immediately. Hi, honey. This is my wife in the United States. Missing you, but proud of you and all you're doing there in Ukraine. So that is my wife in the chat, guys, back in the U.S.
That's not dumb. I have a standing policy. If my wife calls, like, I pick it up unless I'm indisposed, like I can't possibly get to it. It interrupts everything. So that's smart man right there.
Thank you. All right. That is the Vice President of the United States basically stating with Maria Bartiromo, Fox News this morning, we're out. We'll move to a business.
Not exactly. No, he's saying you got to take more on you. And
it's in your neck of the woods.
This is more of what they want to see shift in policy. They want Europeans to be more in charge of it. They don't want it to be on them. So it's kind of like where I was saying that Trump wants to do the tariff thing because he actually likes tariffs. So that's why this is likely to go that direction. It's kind of like that, where he wants the Europeans to take over more of and so that doesn't surprise me. Remember, Vance is more MAGA than Trump is. Right. I'm not saying that Trump's not MAGA, but Vance is like like an extra dose of that kind of MAGA tariffy kind of America first. We're not doing anything that's not in our interest kind of something. Trump his whole shtick is the deal maker thing. So this is in the line. It could break one way or another depending on how they define it.
Listen, JD Vance, I played baseball. JD Vance is the kid in high school that we would beat up. We would throw the ball at him on purpose and try to just play with him because he is a complete clown. And I'm sorry, I'm going to call it straight. He's a clown.
He's the worst in the administration as far as Ukraine goes.
Thank you very much for saying that. All of you out there.
But all I'm saying is that you know where he's going, and you can see where that's going to play, and that could play well or play poorly. Play well would be if he allows the Europeans to really influence what happens with Putin. That's different than what we're about to see theoretically with Putin and Trump later on.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
That would be a positive scenario, and I don't think he has any positive regard or desire to see Ukraine succeed.
But theoretically, you were then putting the Trump administration with Trump and Vance and Witkoff on the same level with Putin and Dmitriev and Lavrov. They're not even in the same league, brother. They're not. You see what I'm saying?
I'm just saying that I think Vance wants to take a back seat to Europeans actually solving the problem. I don't know that it's necessarily leaving, but he doesn't want to be in charge of it.
Okay, let's listen to that one more time. Let's just listen one more time.
Go ahead.
Okay, because maybe I missed it. Let me start it again here. Here we go.
Weapons. What we said to the Europeans is simply, first of all, this is in your neck of the woods. This is in your back door. You guys have got to step up and take a bigger role in this thing. And if you care so much about this conflict, you should be willing to play a more direct and a more substantial way in funding this war yourself. I think the president, and I certainly think that America, we're done with the funding of the Ukraine war business. We want to bring about a peaceful settlement to this thing. We want to stop the killing. But Americans, I think, are sick of continuing to send their money, their tax dollars to this particular conflict. But if the Europeans want to step up and actually buy the weapons from American producers, we're okay with that.
So for me personally,
everything I said sounds right.
And for me, everything I said sound right. They're out.
No, they're not out.
He's speaking for me.
You're taking a step back, letting Europe drive. We'll be happy to sell you the weapons. We don't want
I agree with that.
We don't want to be the ones having to bear the burden. You're going to have to step up.
Okay,
So,
I can agree with that. I can agree with that, but Trump, we're out. The American
so the problem is
taxpayers.
Trump, really, because Trump made a big thing about how he can make a deal overnight, right? And so now, if it wasn't for that, this would be a very different ballpark.
Where are the sanctions that were supposed to happen on day 10?
Yeah, I'm still looking for them. I'm still waiting for something to drop. My hope is that it was the weekend that is in the way, and I don't know that that's the case. I think what really happened is that it's Witkoff's newfangled plan or misconstrued plan has gotten in the way. But I haven't I'm looking for it, and I haven't even seen a news reporter ask Trump yet what happened to these sanctions. It was supposed to happen as of midnight plus 1 minute on Friday into Saturday, right? What happened?
And we're now Sunday night coming into Monday.
Ask. Yeah,
because
so we're waiting till Monday. Okay, end of the business week, new week. But where are the reporters asking? Like, that's your job, right?
Fair enough. Completely agree.
I'd be asking.
Well, now whatever's going to happen, nothing will happen this week before their meeting in Alaska.
I think that's what Trump's probably going to say.
Okay. And then he can come out maybe and say, okay, we had a bad conversation. Sanctions are going on. Whatever. We'll see. But the bottom line is, once again, for those that call him a taco, okay, and let's just call it, he tacoed.
Yeah, he's gonna keep getting that kind of thing because he keeps looking like he's punting, and he's not going to be able to run away from that. That moniker is going to stick.
Fair enough. So we can agree on that. Now, they're meeting in Alaska. Do you know what is rolling on Russian TV tonight?
Yeah. I mean, I've seen a lot of news about how. So the Alaska song I just saw.
If you saw that,
you and I were talking about it, and sure enough, I saw it in my news feed. It's not a very entertaining sounding song.
Oh,
anyway,
we'll explain it to all you guys.
Lyrics of it, and and so there's a lot to that. And I've read some of the backstory about how I think it was Sergei Sermeleny who does all those fundraisers. He was talking about how when he was growing up, he was told that the U.S. didn't buy Alaska, but took a 100-year lease and then reneged on the deal and faked the paperwork. That's what they were told in school.
I think 1867, 7.2 million. But yes.
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, Mark Biscu, you and Elena, towards whatever you need out there, Greg. Hi to the prof. Thank you for both, all that you do, Mark and Elena. This is a family, especially Elena there, that I've been with her family in Ukraine, southern part of Ukraine. I will be around them again soon, Mark and Elena, and I will do my best to get by and check on them.
Hey, I want to share a comment here as well. Stay Sta says Greg is a glass half empty while Gertis is a glass half full type of guy. They are neither wrong. Well, I think you're probably the only thing I would amend to that is that we balance each other pretty well, because Greg will come and say, "Hey, did you see blah?" And I'm saying, "Well, if you think about this logically, Greg, what?" And by the time we're done, he's cooled down and I'm a little upset.
Or vice versa. We balance each other. Now, first of all, I see it in the chat here. Reb Tyree, the last poll I saw, 70% of USA support Ukraine. That goes back to the Vance statement. And Reb, you've been here with me a long time. That's how I see it. I think J.D. Vance, you're not speaking for the majority of Americans who support Ukraine. And I think it's unfair for him to say that.
Let me put a little twist to that. Put that back up. It's not that they and this might sound almost wrong given the crowd that we're talking to who all support Ukraine. It's not that 70% supports Ukraine. 70% opposes Russia. And with that, Russia's the bad guy and Ukraine, what did they do? And so that's how they're processing it. And then there's the undercurrent of the news propaganda that's making Ukraine have a black eye. So those factors are all at play at the same time. But we're really, in the United States, we're really skeptical about Russia. And so that is actually the way I described it is even a little bit more positive when Trump is going to meet Putin in Alaska, and we're already skeptical about Russia. Like, we don't know if we really trust you.
Let's talk about this for a second, and then I want you to see we'll talk about the two things. The Alaska song, and most in here probably don't know about that unless you really know a lot about Russia, especially back in the USSR days. And then secondly, the news tonight, and unless you're watching Russian news, you haven't seen it, but I've got it translated for you. It's unbelievable. All right. Why Alaska? We heard UAE. We heard
that would have been a reasonable choice. I would have thought. We heard the Vatican too, and I thought, Putin doesn't want to go to the Pope.
Italy's in NATO.
Yeah,
not going there.
Yeah.
We heard the Vatican. We heard UAE. Erdogan in Turkey's always willing to host anybody.
Yeah, he likes enjoying increasing his stature.
Mm-hmm. But it ended up with this big announcement from Putin. Trump, we're going to be meeting in a very beautiful place, and it's going to be incredible. And I'm going to tell you later. Right now, I'm dealing with Azerbaijan and Armenia. So that's what we had. Then he comes out, yeah, we're going to do it in Alaska. Okay, let me tell you. That is 100% a gold mine for Vladimir Putin. 100%. And here is why. A, he has 100% security for his flight route. Okay? And yes, he's a paranoid person. But here you have Moscow. Of course, guys, you know Moscow here. I'm right here right now. And basically, he can fly through all Russian airspace and then just drop right down into Alaska here. So he won't even leave Russian airspace. It'll come from Russian airspace right into American airspace. And of course, that'll be protected. So that's one of the reasons. But man, there's a lot of culture behind this Alaska thing that the Russians are gloating over right now. And for example, one of those is there was a old song in the Soviet Union. And today here at my place, my buddy and I were grabbing a little something to eat, and we were just checking news and different things. And all of a sudden, this song started playing, and it's in Russian, so I understand it. And it's about Alaska, and Russia is Alaska, and all these great things about Alaska. And I'm listening, and my buddy, who is 48 years old, starts singing it word for word. He's Ukrainian, but of course he grew up in the Soviet Union. And I said, Sasha, do you know that song? He says, are you kidding? Everybody growing up in the Soviet Union knew that song because Alaska at the Nasha. Okay, and he was making a joke back to Soviet times, meaning Alaska, that's ours. That's our place. That's our people. We sold it, but it's ours. And Vladimir Putin is going to be the first president to ever put his boots on the ground in Alaska, and they are gloating about it like crazy. Now, check this news clip out from just a couple of hours ago. This is crazy.
Prospects for peace. Putin and Trump in Alaska Friday. I'd say a word the first way. Report from Anchorage. Alaska has over 700 Russian-rooted place names. What are your expectations? There's a great chance for dialogue. Why no czars or party chiefs in Alaska? We're meeting with Russia. Location, I think it'll be popular. Plan to end the special operation. What will the U.S. and Russian presidents sign? Presidents to discuss long-term peace in Ukraine.
So that's the big news. There's 700 historical locations, and then I was going to voice that over myself, but I just did it with AI to make it easier for me tonight on the live. And the Russian reporter there, he's talking to the Alaskan resident. They're all speaking in Russian. You could see the names of the streets with the Russian names. This is what they are blasting through the media tonight.
It's a big
Loving
PR
it.
win.
Huge PR win.
You know what strikes me is just how sometimes the things that we do right now can have a ripple effect that we just can't predict. We're living in this age right now with this war with Ukraine and Russia, and we have to handle it carefully. Think about 1867, Seward's Folly. Like when the Secretary of State, Seward, bought it, they called it Seward's Folly. Now roll that forward to the 1950s, late 1940s, after World War II. Imagine if can you flash a picture of Alaska on the screen? Do you have one that you can put up?
Sure.
With the continental U.S.?
Yeah. Just give me a second. Keep talking.
Yeah. Just imagine how differently the Cold War would have gone if Russia could have pointed its nukes at the continental U.S. from the lowest possible points in Russian territory, which would have been Alaska, miles from the border of Washington State. Like, because it goes down, like show where the very bottom of Alaska is. It's not very far, right? From the bottom. Yeah, from
down where Juneau is.
Like, imagine if at the very bottom of that they could have been pointing nukes at the U.S.
He's talking about right here.
Yeah, that would have been a game changer. And it was called Seward's Folly. So sometimes the things that we decide at a certain point, like, they look dopey, but they could have significant consequences, and this is one of them. So I'm wondering if this upcoming discussion that they're about to have about Ukraine without Ukraine might be one of those. It could be a Munich kind of moment. I put a video out about Munich yesterday about, the peace in our time kind of thing. And
we've got a comment here from Wally Catholic. And Wally, I have to say, maybe you're just joining us. I played the Vance comment earlier. We had a discussion about it. This is how I see it. And there's so many new people and so many new names on both of our channels. Don't recognize everybody anymore. But Wally, thank you for that. Vance just set up the exit for Trump after his meeting with Putin in Alaska. Nothing will come of their meeting. So Trump will say, I am done. Will wash his hands of the Russia-Ukraine war. That's how I see it as well.
Yeah, I
really do.
I don't see that. I think he's going to either say we're making progress or be even more upset.
Let me ask you a question.
But I don't see that one. I could be wrong. I mean,
let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
If that meeting ends, and there will be nothing signed because Ukraine is not there, so that's out of the picture. They're just going to talk. Sure. They're going to talk about business. They're going to talk about Arctic, and they're talking about the Ukrainian crisis.
I think this is going to be more of Putin talking about business than anything else. Hey, look, when this is over, here's the deals. Look at the sweetheart deal that America is going to get, and they're going to get to run victory laps. I think it's going to be more about that and less about Ukraine than what we think.
Okay. So the question I have for you then is this. Within 24 hours, do we see the promised sanctions on Russia?
Depends. It depends on if Trump's ticked or if he's not. If he's looking at the sweetheart deals, then no. If he's looking at he's not really serious about that, then maybe you could.
Okay. If you're wrong, I'm sorry. If you're right, and that meeting ends, they sweetheart deal it, and 24 hours later, there are not sanctions on Russia.
Then it's a harder road for Ukraine, right?
No, Ukraine's got a hard road regardless.
No, but it becomes a more difficult road because then Trump is more it's like he's almost been in a haze here for a while, like some kind of voodoo over him or something about
What's
how
up, Mertzy?
Putin just wants to make peace and that sort of thing.
Okay, then
I think he goes back down that kind of path, and
then he is a liar and an epic failure. Because any man who will say 24 hours, 10 days, 20 days, 100 days, and then bold-faced in front of the camera say, forget the 50, it's 10 days.
He's
a liar.
Like 10 days. Okay, so but it looked like we're going to 10 days. And then when Witkoff went, the game changed, and Witkoff came back with bad reports. And
Okay,
I just got to
pause,
think that Trump knows this at this point, but
pause.
who knows?
If Witkoff came back with bad news, which he did, then Donald Trump should at least come out and say, I have received information from Witkoff that I was not expecting. Therefore, I am delaying my 10-day statement until I can personally meet with Vladimir Putin.
But you got to understand his motivation is to show that he's the great deal maker.
And he's going to get smoked on Friday by Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin.
Nothing's going to happen on Friday.
Okay. We can do that. We can do that. He's going to get smoked. I promise you.
Nothing will come of Friday.
Okay, let's go to Mertz. Let's talk about Germany.
So wait, no, this is an interesting point because people are really upset about what's going to happen. Are they going to make every decision about Ukraine and it's going to be over and it's going to be Yalta? No, he can't without Ukraine finally. I mean, he can with the idea in his head, but nothing will ultimately happen from there Friday. So we could probably rest a little bit easier. The Europeans are up in arms, and I understand, and they should be saying, nothing with Europe without Europe. Hey, Johnny, how you doing?
Johnny Pierce, listen, I'm trying to talk Johnny off the ledge. Johnny's been enjoying some holiday time, and Trump is not a deal maker. That's correct. And yes, of course, guys.
He fancies himself to be this great deal maker, though, and so that's his problem. He's boxed himself into that corner.
I think that's well stated. Since we're talking about deals and nothing about Ukraine without Ukraine, let's listen to a couple of guys. The first person is Mertz, Germany.
In recent days, there have been intensive discussions at all political and administrative levels. I'll be having another call with President Trump today. We're preparing extensively with the US for this meeting, hoping Ukraine's President Zelenskyy will be involved. We can't accept territorial issues between Russia and America being decided without European or Ukrainian input. I believe the American government shares this view. That's why we're coordinating so closely.
Coming to you. Thoughts?
So, yeah, I mean, that's going to be the European position. I like Mark Mikkelsen, I think his name is, something similar to that. He's an Estonian MP, and he laid it out the other day. I showed it in one of my videos, where, like if anything does happen where territory is exchanged, rule of law is done. Like,
correct.
What rule of law?
Fair enough.
So if for no other reason than the rule of law and being able to uphold existing order instead of descending into chaos, you just can't do that. So
I need to ask JP a question. JP, you said you sent me a video. Do you want me to play that video on the stream? Just drop it in the chat there, because I'm downloading it now. While I'm doing that, so that's Mertz, Germany's position. Once again, coming back to the point that Europe has to step up. But now let's go from the NATO angle. And this is from Sunday morning on the talk shows. A lot of folks don't know it, but okay, do it, JP.
Just the Rutte one?
Rutte. So
yeah.
A lot of folks, if you're not from the U.S., Sunday morning is just a big historical morning for news talk shows in America. And that's what happens on Sunday mornings. So this is just typical, but Mark Rutte here, take a listen to this one. I like it.
The concern is, of course, as you know, among some critics, that in this conference room in Alaska, we're going to see a 1938 moment. We're in an attempt to immediately halt a war. The groundwork is laid for an even bigger conflict because of concessions that are made. Are you comfortable with Ukraine being excluded from these negotiations on Friday?
What will happen on Friday is testing Putin by President Trump. And I commend him for the fact that he organized this meeting. I think it is important. And obviously, when it comes to peace talks, the ceasefire, and what happens after that on territories, on security guarantees for Ukraine, Ukraine will have to be and will be involved. But on Friday, it is important to see how serious Putin is. And the only one who can do that is President Trump. So it's really crucial that that meeting takes place. It will not be the final say on this. There will not be the final deal on this. Of course, Ukraine will have to be involved and Europe. But it is important to start the next phase of this process, putting pressure on the Russians, exactly as President Trump has been doing over the last 6 months.
Yeah, so I think that's part of what shaped my view when I saw that interview earlier. That so it can go either really good or really bad. It's how it's Trump getting to read how serious is Putin, and really good if he realizes, yeah, Putin's just playing me along or that kind of thing. Really bad if he is deceived, or really bad if they're talking about the great deals that they're going to have on the other side of this, and it's just wetting Trump's lips for whatever kind of great deals that they can get for just ending the war.
$10 super chat from Papa Dutch, always with his great logic. And Johnny, I do have your video loaded up and play in just a moment. Does it seem to anyone else that the meeting wouldn't be in such a remote, inaccessible location unless whatever they were going to say, they don't want anyone to hear us? That's legendary Papa Dutch. I like what Rute said in general, except for the part I personally feel he gives Trump too much credence there, although I'll let it ride. That Trump is testing Putin. I get it. I get your explanation. Just for me, working in Russia for 31 years, I speak the language. I understand the culture very well. And I talk to soldiers nonstop. I've got aid all around my feet right now. And yes, guys, on the live, we'll be doing a impromptu fundraiser to do some things. I've got Starlinks over here, and I've got gear over there. And you'll be seeing us deliver it to the people. But Vladimir Putin said in June of 2024, this is what it's going to be. He has never backed down from that. And I don't think he will. I just don't.
And the Russian and before that Soviet way of negotiating was to always ask for more than maximalist demands, and if you get something, you got more than what you otherwise would have had. That's always been. Richard Nixon talked about that, like that's how they operate, and and he's just continuing the same thing that he's always continued. So he's not planning on backing away or making some kind of concession or anything. So, by the way, you just talked about Starlink. So you want to tell people what you're bringing where, or do we need to, shake the bushes and say, hey, look, we need to get something somewhere? Or
I'm going to be doing that, just not tonight. Really wanted to focus totally on Alaska because so many people are, concerned about it. But yes, I can tell you guys that Prof and myself and Project Constantine and Zhenya, we all partnered together for a vampire project. You will be seeing me deliver those as we promised. So just hang on. Going to be a couple of weeks on that. It is not easy to do anything near the front right now. It's extremely dangerous. And we make sure everything is set up for the best of protection. But we'll talk more about the front in just a minute. Let me do this. JP sent me a video, and Johnny, I'm trusting you. This is Jonathan M.S. Pierce from ATP Geopolitics. I never play a video on my live streams that I have not pre-screened unless it comes from Jonathan M.S. Pierce. Here we go.
Hey, Greg. Hope you're doing all right, my man. Just contacting you to say that I've shared the map with you. It's a little bit out of date. I need to update it. Haven't updated it for about, I can't remember, 5-6 days or something like that, so apologies, but it's there for you to use. I've shared it with you. Just a big hello to you, to your viewers as well, as you've got a live at the moment. I don't know that you'll get this video on time, but you know my views on Trump and on my views on the Alaska meeting. If you don't, you can guess them. Absolute clown show. The whole thing is a clown show, and we're back to square one, and it's all about appeasing Putin yet again. As if nothing has been learnt in 7 months. It's so disappointing. Anyway, take care, buddy. I'll speak to you soon.
Thank you, JP. We have a roving reporter there, Jonathan M.S. Pierce. And I don't think he's on the front line. No.
A roving reporter. Wow, we're big time now.
Jonathan's on vacation, a well-deserved vacation. And for those of you that do not know, that's ATP Geopolitics, dear friend of Prof and mine. I've taken Johnny to the front. We've been in Ukraine together. He's been there twice. And Jonathan also has, it's not private information, he has MS, and he does an bang up job. He is the dog's bollocks when it comes to living life and dealing with MS, and going to a very hot place is good for him on his vacations there, because he's based out of UK. So thank you, JP.
Yeah, he's watching us on his vacation. He's got to get better hobbies.
Oh no, he's a good guy. So this is where we're at, guys. Now I'd like to take the next few minutes, and because I'm going to be going to bed here in about 20 minutes, and let's take a look at. There's John Hoover in the chat. Hey, buddy. Stay out there. I understand. John Hoover here in Ukraine, serving and helping. Great guy.
So before we wrap up, let's talk about front lines.
That's what I want to do. I want to talk about the front lines.
It's very hot from what I can detect. It's very weak in certain areas from some things I can detect. And that's just a function of manpower issues. I talked about that this morning.
Manpower is a huge problem.
Yep.
But Ukraine is doing their very best to solve it. And it's not easy. I'm here. I see the mobilization process going on. I don't see people fighting, the videos that happen randomly and in different places, and then it gets spread on social media that Ukraine's nothing but bandits and stealing people. There's always stories behind that, guys, and the Russian media spins every bit of it. But does it happen? Yes, it has happened. But tell you the straight gospel truth here. But it's difficult. But Ukraine is mobilizing every day, getting stronger, and attempting to get stronger with manpower. But it's extremely, extremely critical. Let's talk about the front. Let's go. Let's start in Kherson and move up. I think that would be the best, okay, if that works for you. You guys know. Let me just go to a map view now here. Kherson is a city right here, and it may look small to you. I'm zoomed out here, but it's not small. Pre-war population of about 250 to 300,000, and right now Kherson is literally being leveled to the ground from drones and artillery 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And unfortunately, and I want to leave it on this view, if I come in here to the river, there is a bridge that connects the city of Kherson over to the island. That's Antonivka Bridge, and it's right here. There's a bridge that connects right there. This bridge has now been destroyed, but 1,800 people were trapped in this area, Ukraine trying to get them out. It's also a military key point. This is all Russian side of the river where they've occupied. And one of the key things that you just need to understand, I'm going to zoom out now, but that's Kherson, is it's nothing but a swamp down there. So when you talk about these islands and moving around them, you just have to really think of almost like Vietnam, movies you've seen about Vietnam with the soldiers in very swampy, bushy areas. That's what Kherson is like. So Kherson, constantly under duress. Now, this area right here, and I'm going to go into a couple of the key areas in a moment, but I want you just to understand this is Nikopol, right across the river. Right here, let me just do this, a big red right there. That's where the Zaporizhzhia, that's where the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant is. Forget that one. Let me do this different. Sorry, I've been
I
rolling
don't think
all
anybody's
day.
going to worry
There.
about how
Well, I
well
do.
or how badly you scribble.
Right there, Zaporizhzhia nuclear
There.
power plant. Nikopol is another city, about 75 to 100,000 people. Just trying to paint a picture so people understand. Yes, it's just like the Louisiana Bayou. Exactly, just not good. But Nikopol city, 60, 70, 80,000 pre-war, beautiful city. Just like Kherson, being destroyed every day. Somebody wounded or killed in Nikopol every day. Up above that, this is Kryvyi. This is President Zelensky's home city. It's every day there are shaheeds, or every day there's some type of missile incoming. Zaporizhzhia right here. You're seeing how close these cities are together. And then right here's Dnipro, right there. So Dnipro, Zaporizhzhia, Nikopol, Kryvyi. All of these cities here together. Kryvyi, million people. Zaporizhzhia, million people. Dnipro, million people. And all of these cities under intense attack nonstop. Now, I want to come into Zaporizhzhia a little bit because we're having issues here. And that is Russia is pushing up from this way, just trying to walk into this. This used to be a huge reservoir, but when the Novokakhovka Dam blew, of course, then that all went. Now it's trees and forest and swampy and grassland. But Russia pushing up towards Stepnogorsk, they've got forward-leaning pressure on that, and it puts them only about 35 kilometers from the absolute center of Zaporizhzhia. 35 kilometers can be hit by an FPV drone. Okay, the range is now out to 40 kilometers. So just think about that. There's 1 million people in Zaporizhzhia, and these dudes can launch FPV drones that literally, I'll redraw the map.
It strikes me that I don't hear a lot about Ukrainians hitting the front lines on the other direction with FPV drones. I mean, I'm sure it's
They do.
happening, but I'm sure it's happening, but I just don't see a lot about that. Most of what I see the Ukrainians doing is hitting front lines near what we would consider normal front lines, infantry versus infantry, and then drones up in the air and that sort of thing. But it was just a thought.
Well, they're trying to take out, in the very rear, fuel, aviation, refinery, airplanes. They're trying to take out legitimate targets. And honestly, Ukraine is not, the Ukrainian military is not like the Russian military. The Russian military will go to Kherson, set up a safari, and kill children to learn how to fly FPVs.
Yeah, it's like a whole different level of evil.
It's completely different. Now, I want to zoom in here because I want to show you guys something. Haven't done this in so long. I'm enjoying this. So when I come in this close, you see Stepnogorsk right here. And then right here is Kamyansky, right there. It's to just tell you, this is where Zhenya and I were dropping aid just months ago in Kamyansky, below Stepnogorsk. And, we never tell where we're going, but now it's all occupied. And it's tough to think about that because I can remember the exact house where I met some guys and where we went to have a tea together and what we were dropping. And one of the soldiers that we dropped aid to here in Kamyansky that is now gone, occupied, he's been wounded and significantly wounded. And it's just the story that's very, very difficult, nonstop. Now, I want to go over and talk about a couple of critical areas. We need to talk about Pokrovsk. So this is the big one. it's in trouble, man.
Yep.
There are Russian DRG units operating in the very center of Pokrovsk.
So that where you're pointing out right there, that salient, that like thing sticking into Pokrovsk, that wasn't there a week ago.
No, it's because they have moved in DRG groups, 3 or 4 at a time, and they're taking positions in buildings that are vacant. And then they provide cover for more Russians to creep in. During that time, Russians, of course, are getting smashed. Okay, this is where Ukraine will say, okay, 200 came, we killed 160, but 40 now are there.
Yeah.
And then they do it the next day. The next day.
But they don't mind sending a meat wave that's probably going to die in the process.
No,
because,
and here you can see it. Here you can see it much clearer. And I'm using Institute for the Study of War tonight, but Deep State also confirming this. And Deep State always now puts their information about on a 2 or 3 day delay as an agreement with Ukrainian government, but like ISW doesn't. But gold is where Russian forward pressure is leaning. Red is confirmed occupied. And this right there, that is the very center of Pokrovsk. This is where the road comes in from Dnipro. This is where the road goes out to Konstantinivka. And this goes up to Dobropilya. Now, the other issue here is, I'll zoom out, and even a bigger issue, Prof. And I think that's a good way for people to, let me see if I can zoom it one more click here. No, we'll do this one. Okay. This is Pokrovsk. This is Mirnograd. Pokrovsk, 65,000 pre-war, so it tells you the size of the city. Mirnograd, about 40,000. So this is and the city goes from one to the other. Really, you never know you leave other than the name. So 100,000 people pre-war, like sister cities. But Russia now has taken a position on the north side, and they're trying to cut this access road, and they're right up to it. Because it's not OPSEC, this is public information. Ukraine, of course, been supplying their positions down from the north. Yes, they still supply in from the west, but this is becoming extremely critical now. And unfortunately, places like Dobropilya that you didn't hear a lot about. I've been in Dobropilya probably 50 times. And cafes I've sat at are now destroyed. I mean, Zhenya and I look at video all the time and say, hey, we were just at that building, on our last aid runs, and now it was just hit. It could be a cafe or a gas station. It's, not a military target. It's just everything's being hit. Dobropilya, nonstop FPV drones.
Yeah. And so, and again, the idea is to encircle it and cut off the city and then force it to evacuate or be captured. So
let me do this. Let's go back over here. I want to show you guys one thing. Really, this is where it gets a little bit sad. Right here in Andronivka. In Kamyanka. So just so you know where I'm talking about here, this is Pokrovsk. This is what we're talking about. And this road goes back toward Dnipro. Okay. And so many times I've rode the E50 in through Slavyanka, Andriivka, and then you can cut up to Dobropilya, or we go down to Pokrovsk, or we would go down south to Pokrovske, back this way. Anyway, key area. I want to show you guys something that you'll know, and I think I can do it if the let's see here. It's letting me. Is Street View on? Well, then let's just do it this way. Dnipropetrovsk. Okay. So you see this obelisk sign here? That's going the other way. I need to get the one going into Donetsk. Let's see if that's it. It's street map is off. That's going back to Dnipropetrovsk. I want to go up there. Go up there. So you guys know the
Google
famous.
Is not in the business of mapping this right now.
Well, you guys know the famous Donetsk sign. Okay?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Well, it's right there. I just can't get to it because Street View is turned off. And I'm going to tell you something, guys. The last time I went there, I made a video, and I put the video up. And the net's covering the Donetsk sign. All the flags are flying. And Jane and I discussed, said, you know what? This could be the last time we ever come to this sign. Because we talk about reality.
Yeah.
Well, today, we got a video out of that sign. And there's just a warning here. It's after an FPV hit. There's no death. No, you're not going to see anything. But this is a sign, and this is how much the war's changed. This is coming in towards that Donetsk sign that's so famous. If you look to the right here, see these cars hit? That's from an FPV drone. Right there. Okay? And there's the famous sign. And this is how much this war has changed.
Yeah.
I mean, 50 times, Jane and I have been at that sign. No body armor on, no helmet on, nothing, because it's been safe. But now it's not safe. There's one other key area that we need to look at, and that's Konstantinivka and Siversk, a place that's not talked about a lot. We know we lost Chasiv Yar, and that is a fact. But this is what's called the Fortress Circle, okay? And you will hear about the Fortress Circle this week, everybody. You'll hear about it.
Or Fortress Belt.
Yes, right here. Okay? So the Fortress Belt or the Fortress Circle is Konstantinivka, Druzhkivka, Kramatorsk, and here is Slavyansk. This is a large area. If you're from the United States, I've explained it to Prof. Gertis like a couple of cities connected. You know, it could be like a Greenville, Spartanburg, South Carolina area where these cities are just lined up. You know, metro here, 500,000 people pre-war. It's a big area. It's a fortress for Ukraine. And just so you guys understand, there's still tens and tens and tens of thousands of Ukrainians living there. Children living there. Ukrainian defenses have done so much to defend it, but now it's so dangerous. But what Witkoff brought back was, and what Putin wants, is for Ukraine not only to demilitarize that, but to physically leave it. We're talking about...
Show the borders.
I will. We're talking about
7
7,000 square kilometers of territory that he just wants handed to him with no battle.
That's good work if you can find it.
Well, this is the key area. So once again, we see, and I'll zoom out so you can see the obelisk, but the pressure coming up on Konstantinivka is big and it is intense.
Yep.
And this entire area is under extreme pressure. And the other place we don't talk a lot about, and it has been a fortress area for Ukraine, is Siversk. So all of this area, oh, that's you. I don't want to be moving you. All of this area, I know like the back of my hand. Right here, this town of Siversk. Ukraine had been holding this area way back out like this. But because of the pressure, Russia now getting access to Siversk. And if they do, then it's basically clear just farmland that comes into Rygorodok and back into Slavyansk area. So there's pressure coming from multiple areas. And I'll zoom out and show them, as you requested, the oblast map. The last place that I want to share is Kupiansk. And you always hearing about Kupiansk, and Ukraine's been defending it unbelievably. The city's right here, and they've been holding Russia back here. But you can see Russia's now went around it and actually coming back. They're trying to cut off the P7. I've been on the P7 many times to cut the supply route. The reality is it's tough, and the heroes are defending well. So you talk, and I'll give the oblast map.
One of the things that we don't want to do is give you a false impression of what's actually happening. Like, you need to understand the realities. Like, everybody wants to hear good news, but you want to also have a full picture of it, not just the good news. I mean, it's great. Okay, they just hit this thing in Russia. Okay, great. But it's also hard on the front.
Very, very, very hard. So let's do this.
So somebody put in my comment, this is depressing, and somebody else put they took Chasiv Yar. Greg, how freaking long did it take them to take Chasiv Yar? 23 months?
Yeah, 2 years.
I mean,
2 years.
So, okay, even if they got Chasiv Yar, it took this world's second army 23 months in order to get to take Chasiv Yar.
Yeah,
so,
and look here.
That's the other half of the coin. You want to look
Leslie Blow makes a good
look at both sides,
comment.
This side and that side.
Ukrainians push back Russians in Sumy today. That's correct. But guys, when I tell you this stuff, I'm going to tell you the truth. I've been in Chasiv Yar so many times. I know it. And I'm just going to tell you the truth, because hopium doesn't help Ukraine win. Facts helps Ukraine win, realizing this army needs help. But like Prof said, this army, which at the beginning of the full-scale invasion wasn't ready for anything, defended Kyiv valiantly, has become the strongest army in Europe, has become the most technologically inventive army alongside Russia, who's doing the same, technologically advanced so much that the United States wants to partner to buy technology with drones from Ukraine. And it took Russia 2 years to take Chasiv Yar, a city of 14,000 people. For me, that is an incredible positive story for Ukraine. They demolished. So, okay, Russia took Chasiv Yar, but Russia lost so much manpower and equipment, much more to get Chasiv Yar than Ukraine lost to give up those few kilometers. That's just the way it is. And this is why it's so important. So I hope you guys understand. I'm never going to shoot you no bull, neither is Prof on these maps. I'm going to tell you how it is. So basically, you see the front lines here. This is the border right there of the Donetsk Oblast. All right? So I'll just leave it there. Vladimir Putin wants all of this.
No, hold on. Don't fill it in. Don't fill it all in. Show where the belt is.
Okay. Oh, good. We got the professor working here. All right, let me go back to black, and let me give you the border. So the border of Donetsk Oblast is right there. Okay.
Now zoom in a little bit and show where the belt is.
Oh, I can show
to give away.
Let's do it this way. And the belt, I can see it right here. The belt is right there. That's the belt.
So Putin's demanding, give us all the way to the borders of Donetsk, including giving up this fortress belt. And remember, put that in context, took them 23 months to take Chasiv Yar. At the rate that they're going, at 525 kilometers squared in July, about the same in June. At that same rate, it will take them another year to get through there, all other things being equal, without the fortress belt. like without even factoring that in. And then it'll take them another 2 years to get the other oblasts. And they just want them to, give up Zaporizhzhia and Kherson as well, including the millions of people that live in those cities. That's crazy talk. So, like, when you're thinking about like this Friday, something bad's going to happen, and Putin is just going to get everything that he wants, and Trump's just going to give it to him. I can't see the Ukrainians actually give a ceding to that. They just won't.
Oh, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. But I'm glad you told me to do this, because this gives people the real view right there.
Yeah.
Real view. So when it seems like Prof and I are stating, okay, well, Russia has Chasiv Yar. Okay, guys, Chasiv Yar, although as sad as it is, it cost Russia so much to get Chasiv Yar, so much, that it is a net positive for Ukraine when you look at the long side of the war in the long game. That's the way even Ukraine analyzes it. And that's where it comes down to the math. And Prof does videos, and others do, where this is the daily loss. I know Johnny Pierce does it. How many they lost, how many Ukraine lost. And this is why it's such a joke when you hear what Vladimir Putin is wanting, and it's why it's disgusting for me that we send envoys that have no understanding of these places. Exactly. But it's really interesting. But this gives you the view right here. Dnipro is just here. Zaporizhzhia is here. That belt is here, and this is a changing war. I saw somebody ask earlier, how is Ukraine doing 2024 versus now? Technologically advanced by light years since 2024 to now. I can tell you that. Couple of things
it's unbelievable. Here. There were things that you couldn't do, that you could do on the battlefield in 2022, even 2023, that there is no possible way that you could do right now, because drones would just wipe you out. Like, it's it's forced military technology tactics to change.
All right, let me tell you the truth. 18 months ago, I'm going into Chasiv Yar. I don't even put my body armor on. Yep. Now, when we get within 50 kilometers of the front, we put our body armor on.
Yeah.
So think about that.
Yep.
I could go into Chasiv Yar 18 months ago at night with military escort in the complete dark, get to where the guys where we were helping. We're in a bunker. We're safe. Never even had my body armor on. And I know people go, well, y'all was stupid. Well, probably so. But it's the reality of how the war has changed. And now, when we get 50 kilometers from the zero, body armor's on. Mm-hmm. So that's how the war has changed. Let me do this. I want to thank everybody for being here. I've been really trying to focus on the content with Prof. But once again, FOINC, thank you for gifting the 50 memberships. Dunk on you, $20 super chat and gifting memberships. Mark Nicholson got you earlier. Pether Olson, World War II epic battles, £5. I made a video on positional warfare, a brief analysis of Kursk incursion shared by the Russian media. So that's World War II epic battles. I'm going to go check that out myself. That's his channel. Mark Bisque, we got that. Mark Nicholson, thank you for the £5. Papa Dutch, $5. Maybe Trump wants to be privately humiliated this time, or a little more. Come on, Tennessee, man. Kentucky. I know I'll get a message on Discord later. I hate forgetting. Tennessee, Kentucky. Tennessee, we'll go with that. FOINC, Ukraine will prevail. Like that. Entire Ukraine, including Crimea. Listen, that's what we're fighting for, FOINC. Just not good. This would be a question for you, because honestly, Prof, to be fair, I've received a lot of people having questions about your theory on the zig and zag. What Taco did, alleged zag, just a head bob that wide receiver will do to avoid a tackle. And I think that's back earlier in the chat. We were talking about sanctions and no sanctions.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Just not good. $5. What super chat. What Taco did, the alleged zag, was just a head bob that a wide receiver will do to avoid a tackle. So it's a football
I don't know.
reference.
I think he was being influenced by Rubio and Kellogg, and I think he then got influenced by Witkoff, and that's what I mean by zigzag. Like he gets influenced this way and influenced that way because he doesn't have the compass pointing this way or pointing that way. So I think there was a directional change, and then that changed back. Now I said I didn't know how long it could be, and it's all open in the air what's going to happen moving forward.
Well, let's think about this. Let's put it on a positive. And I'm seeing people in the chat. Robert Locklear, once Trump keeps selling weapons to Europe, he'll keep selling weapons to Europe. Nunu, smash that like button. Thank you, Nunu. Member 16 months. But if this becomes, I hate to say this, and I'm here inside Ukraine right now, but if this becomes profitable for Trump, he's going to love it.
Either way,
making money.
Yeah,
that'll be a support for Ukraine.
If it's profitable for him and it helps Ukraine, he'll go that way. And if it's profitable for him and it hurts Ukraine, he'll go following the profit, right? So that's what I'm saying. He can go either way depending on what. So yeah.
Nunu, 59.99 euro for anything our brave brothers and sisters need. Thank you, Nunu. We've already been buying stuff like crazy since I've been here. I can tell you some of the guys, some of the things we're doing. We're helping with one of our autos needs repaired. And remember the vehicle project we did with Prof on our armored vehicles? We need some repairs on one. So we're buying all of those things back here. We'll be getting it out there and take care of those. In case you guys don't know, we didn't just do these projects together and buy these armored vehicles and drop them to the guys and forget them. Zhenya is constantly with our team, servicing them and updating the anti-drone detectors, and we do our best to take care of our guys. So we're working on that. Nathan Pohl, $20 super chat. Thank you, Prof and Greg, for all your great content. You are welcome, Nathan. F. Oink, Hungarian Franks, Ukraine's territory is not Trump's to give away. He's just running interference for Putin. And F. Oink, that could be really possible. Time will tell. This is going to be a very, very interesting week. But one thing for sure, Donald Trump is not the president of Ukraine. Vladimir Zelenskyy is the president of Ukraine. And by the way, it's in the Constitution that they can't give property away. So it's not even possible. It's not even real. Papa Dutch, $5 super chat there. If DJT is in full-blown follow the cash mode, we have nothing to worry about. Putin doesn't have any. It's actually a very good comment.
That is pretty funny.
And Blonde Bombsheller, thank you for gifting 20 memberships. Yeah, 5. If DJT is in full-blown follow the cash mode, we have nothing to worry about. Putin doesn't have any. Actually, that's brilliant. That's Papa Dutch right there. Guys, thank you. Prof, thank you. And to all you guys on Professor Gertis's channel, we appreciate each and every one of you and everybody on my channel here. This is going to be a week. A lot unfolding. And I'm putting out videos when you guys are sleeping if you're there in the U.S. And
here's one of the strongest arguments that why they can't fold. Jan Graverson posted this, and I pinned it in my chat. If Russia gets the occupied areas, then what happens to the children kidnapped from the areas? Like, you got to understand, it's bigger than just lines on maps. It's not just that. It's like they've got to get their people back, and so and who pays reparations or whatever. I mean, there's much more to the story. So, and with all that, be calm. Just we'll wait and see what's going to happen, but it's. Yeah.
Okay. There's a question there that I actually want to answer. From Commander Crimbo. Does anyone know if Witkoff took his own translators when he met Putin this time? If not, the mistake was likely set in motion by Putin. Okay. I watched all the video. I saw him come into the Kremlin. I saw the Russian media with them beginning to talk. I saw the full video of him walking through the park with Kirill Dmitriev, and I never saw even a security guard with Witkoff. He was under Russian security. I did not see any person carrying his bag. He was the one holding the document from Trump to give to Putin. You saw that, had the presidential seal on it. I assume that with, I think, more than 50% certainty that Russia provided the interpreter. I once again remind you guys that everybody we're talking about, Kirill Dmitriev, Ushakov, Vladimir Putin, Sergei Lavrov, all the propagandists, they all speak really good English. So I'm sure there's a little bit of talk going on in English, and then they may, get into more serious talk and go through an interpreter. But no, nothing. Uba53, thank you for that wonderful comment. And first time I've seen your name, Uba53, $20 super chat. Thank you, Greg and company. This is the only place that I get my Ukraine information from. You guys rock. Well, deeply appreciate that. And yeah, F-Oink, the trafficking with the super chat, U.S. normalizing trafficking minors already. Russia is following suit. Yeah, it's a big issue around the world. Anyway, I think we've given a solid update tonight, Prof.
Yeah, I think that's good. And hopefully that's somewhat comforting too. And we'll see what's going to happen. Nothing's earth shaking will take place, I don't think, on Friday.
No, nothing earth shaking. And in case you guys were wondering, we can do this as we close out. So, Shahid's coming. Richard Negev region, Sumy region, in the Donetsk region. Oh, you just saw it live. That was live. Zaporizhzhia region. Now they've moved into the Poltava region. You actually saw that pop live. That's real time. So they're flying around, and we're pushing midnight here in Ukraine. I can tell you, we had some power issues today. If you want some more on the ground news, as we're closing out here. For the first time since I've been here, we lost power and a few power issues. And we've been having some extremely warm weather and very brutal thunderstorms. So makes it tough on the guys on the front, I promise you.
Yeah, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
All right, man.
Yeah, bud. Appreciate each and every one of you, to all the moderators, to all of the team, to all of the new folks. We appreciate each and every one of you. Make sure, if you haven't subscribed to Prof. Curtis's channel, you can see his tag there at Professor-Curtis. Mine, if you're watching on Prof's channel, Greg Terry Experience. And we partner together. We yin and yang it. And we even yell at each other live sometimes and enjoy every minute of it.
Yell is a harsh word.
Okay, we raise our voices.
Yeah, that's sure.
Yeah, we have fun. Anyway, you guys be blessed. We appreciate each and every one of you. And make sure the notification bell is on, because I'm typically dropping videos now, Ukraine late morning time, with the first updates, trying to get 2 factual updates out per day. And then we're rolling. So you never know when a live will pop either. You guys be blessed. See you, Prof.
See you.
Let's roll an outro for everybody. Stay in that green room. I think this is the button.
Slava Ukraine.
There you go, everybody.